Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Caroland. This is Carolina and today's video is another dating video that has been highly requested after I posted my last English video and I talked a little bit about dating. There's so much taboo, so much stigma around dating transgender people in general. So I think it's very important to talk about this topic openly and in a very friendly, very nonchalant manner like I'm going to do right now. And this one goes back to also before I had surgery and when I was back in Florida, and I met this guy when I was working for this big company, once again the same company that I was working for with the other guy on the other story. And this time I didn't really date this guy, we were just like friends. It all started as friendship. I could tell that the guy liked me and I liked him, but we were not telling each other that. We were just gonna like getting to know each other as friends. I realized that he really liked me, that he had been checking me out for like years. Actually, it's really funny. I only worked at this company for about 3-4 years, but he apparently noticed me from the very moment that I started working here, and I didn't know that. I started getting to know him a little bit better, and I realized that he apparently knew this whole time that I was trans. So there was no secret. He apparently was told by a friend that I was trans because this friend went to high school with me. And so she knew the tea and she decided to out me to him. And then he took notice of me knowing that I was trans. So I was like, whoa, this is kind of like a plus because he knows that I'm trans. It's completely different from the other story that I told you guys before when the guy didn't know that I was trans. So I was like, okay, we're starting on the right foot. He already knows I'm transgender. He likes me. I like him. Like, perfect, right? So we get to know each other a little bit better. And unfortunately, one of the things that I found out was that he had a girlfriend. So that immediately for me was like a big no-no. I was like, wait a minute, like you're getting me all hyped up. I was getting my hopes up thinking that this guy is like the perfect guy for me right now because he knows I'm trans, he likes me, I like him, we're attracted to each other, and he has a freaking girlfriend. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna mess with that. I do not do that. I don't mess with other people's relationships. So I decided to stay away from that situation. But we continue to be friends. And I made it very clear to him that I didn't want anything to do with him. Well, he was a very sneaky little person. He knew that not only was I in a very vulnerable state in my life, because I guess at that time being pre-op and only being into my transition for a few years, like he was kind of like taking advantage of that and knowing that I was looking for acceptance, looking for someone to appreciate me as a person, as a woman, and to validate my identity. So he started getting into my head. He started like constantly telling me like, you know what, like I know I have a girlfriend, but I still care about you and I think you're so beautiful, and you know what, I'm pretty sure my girlfriend wouldn't even mind. Like he actually tried to convince me that his girlfriend wouldn't care that he was talking to me on the side. He actually made it seem like it was like a totally cool thing because, oh well, you know, you're trans and she's cis and it's like not a big deal to her. Almost saying like you're no competition. I can talk to you, I could potentially even have a romantic relationship with you and she'll be okay. And I at first was like, yeah, I'm not an idiot, like I'm not gonna fall for that. But I was in such a vulnerable place, like I said before, that I decided to believe him. I decided to kind of just go with it and I allowed him to continue to stay in my life. Even though I should have been like, no, we're done. Like this friendship is over. I'm not talking to you. You have a girlfriend. You're clearly interested in me for other reasons. And one of the things that I found out about him is that he actually has a thing for trans women. Insert. Yeah, exactly. He's a chaser. I don't know if you guys know what the word means or what it entails, but that's what we call men or women that are particularly interested in transgender people, but not sometimes because they're just attracted to the person or because they're open-minded, but these people tend to just be fixated on the fact that this person is transgender. They are fixated on their private parts. They're fixated on this person's identity in a way that goes beyond just liking someone. It's like a fetish. It's like an infatuation. I knew about chasers, have been dealing with them for a long time online, but I had never met one in person that I knew of. I have other stories. He's getting into my head. He's telling me all these things. He's telling me like, don't worry about the girlfriend. She's totally cool. Fast forward like months and months months, I'm hanging out with him, I'm hanging out with his friends. We're becoming really attached, all of us as a group. It became like a group thing. I started getting invited to parties and going out, and I was allowing him also to get to know my friends, my family. And at this point, I haven't met the girlfriend. BTW. He always kept her under wraps at this point. And even though I knew he was in a relationship, I was convinced that everything was gonna be fine because we were just friends, right? So I'm getting close to SRS, gender sexual reassignment surgery, sex reassignment surgery, whatever you wanna call it. I am feeling super anxious. I don't think I had at that point never experienced so much anxiety in my life, knowing that I was gonna go under this procedure, that I was gonna have major surgery that was life-changing, but also it could be life-threatening at the same time. So I was super nervous. I mean, to the point where I think I had my first like major panic attack around this time. So mix all of that with me, once again, still feeling very vulnerable, very exposed, because now a lot of people in this company know I'm transgender, and I just felt like people were starting to act different around me, the people that didn't know and then they found out, especially the men. So funny how, you know, masculinity can be so fragile. So I was like, you know what, these people are on my side, especially this one guy in particular. He supports me. He tells me that I'm beautiful, that I'm a strong woman, and that I can get through anything. And so I once again believed him, and I felt great having that kind of support, especially coming from a cis man. Not that that makes it any better, but at that time I was searching for that acceptance. We get to a point where he's starting to cross the line. He's starting to get super flirty with me. He's starting to push the boundaries with me. And I'm still like, no, you have a girlfriend, that is not right. We cannot do that. And then once again, he was getting in my head saying, it's gonna be okay. I've talked to her about you. She actually wants to meet you and she will be totally cool. Like he literally was like brainwashing me into thinking that it was okay to be with him romantically while he had a girlfriend, because the girlfriend would be okay with it, which is so ridiculous. And you know what, I feel embarrassed to talk about this in a way, because I would never ever do something like that. You know, trans people, a lot of times we're searching for that acceptance because we are denied so much throughout our lives. We're told no so many times. So when you have somebody telling you that you're beautiful, when you have people validating your identity constantly, you crave it like a drug. And it's like, it's crazy how much you want that from people. So this guy knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's done it before. Oh, and another thing, let's remember, I was really into this guy. I also remember seeing him like on the hallways of this company and always looking at him and thinking like, wow, this guy is so out of my league, because I was so insecure back then. And thinking like, wow, like he's so cute, he's so handsome, like he always smiles at me every time we see each other, but he would never go out with me. Like he probably doesn't even know I'm trans, and if he knew, he wouldn't like that, blah blah blah. You know, I was already scarred from like the other situation that happened to me that I told you guys on the previous videos. So at this point, I'm just like, wow, it's so great that I have all these people on my side. We started going to the gym together. This was a place where it was kind of private, because not a lot of people used the gym around the time that we used it. We would usually go after working business hours. You know, we would do our workouts and then we would talk afterwards, and then sometimes walk to the car together. And this happened several times. And during these times, I feel like he took more advantage of the situation that we were alone to kind of get more in my head, to try to flirt, to try to like cross the line. And in a way, I was allowing it to happen. I was letting myself get manipulated by this guy, and days turned to weeks, turned to months, and this got worse and worse and worse. And at this point, I just didn't know what to do. You know, it's weird. It's almost like that like Stockholm syndrome, where you like start caring about your, it's not like the guy kidnapped me or anything. I'm like probably exaggerating when I say this, but even though I knew this guy was bad for me, I still wanted him around. I was still craving his attention. And first of all, he was not okay with me having surgery. One particular day, he basically came to me and said, you know, if you have the surgery, there's a chance you might never feel anything afterwards. There's a chance you might lose sensation. There's a chance you might never really experience enjoying sex again. And he was like, I want to give you that. I want to give you that before, just in case something happens, because I know now that you're gonna have the surgery and there's nothing stopping you, and I just want to give you that. Like, I want it was almost like he was like gonna be the last guy I was gonna be with before I had surgery, and the last person I was gonna feel something. He was just wanting to get in my head and make me feel like this was it. He was the last resort I had. And so he was like literally planning how we would get together and hook up. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. Like, I just can't. Like, first of all, you have a girlfriend. On top of that, like, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. And I've always been very like, if I'm not dating you, if I'm not like having going out with you for some time, or you're not like my official boyfriend, I'm not gonna have sex with you. One day we went to the gym. It was the end of a work day. He told me he wanted to give me a ride to my car. I had parked in like one of the furthest parking lots, so I was gonna have to go in the rain, get super wet, whatever. So he was like, let me give you a ride. He was trying to be a gentleman, right? So I was like, okay, cool. You know, like, I'll go in your car, you can drive me to my car, that's fine. As we were walking towards the car, he's already pushing boundaries again, asking like very inappropriate questions, telling me about the whole like, hey, maybe we should do this, you know, it's like you're almost close to surgery and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen, ha ha ha. And I was like, you know, I was too nice for my own good back then. I was too vulnerable, I was too naive. And we get into his car, it's pouring rain. We start talking and he doesn't drive. We're literally just sitting there talking. The windows get super foggy. Nobody's around. There's maybe like a few cars in the parking lot. It's like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. He finally was like, you know what? I think it needs to happen now. I think we should go for this. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I told you I don't like being with people that I just don't do this. And he just continued to get in my head, and one thing led to another, and unfortunately things did go down. And I'm super, like, once again, I'm super embarrassed to talk about this because like I don't do that kind of stuff. You know, we didn't go all the way, and I'm not gonna get into details about this on this video, but things did happen. I felt so gross and so disgusted after. Like, it was consensual. This is not one of those stories. I quickly realized after it all happened that I had been extremely manipulated and like brainwashed into doing something like this. And I felt dirty, I felt disgusted, I felt embarrassed, I felt like an idiot, I felt deceived. I felt like one of my really good friends had just used me for his own pleasure and entertainment, and I didn't enjoy whatsoever. It's just really sad that, you know, I feel like this happens a lot, especially those people that are very vulnerable, that have grown up in environments where they've been bullied, they've been told that they're ugly, that they don't deserve to live, that they don't belong. Unfortunately, a lot of these situations sometimes can also lead into violence. The homicide rate of transgender women, it's extremely high. And a lot of times, many of these perpetrators are men who are actually dating or being romantically involved with these women. You know, after it all happened, like I said, I was so embarrassed and so disgusted. I sort of tried to block that out of my mind. I told him to never touch me ever again. I got super mad at him, didn't talk to him for weeks. Ended up having my surgery. Everything went great. And then what made me realize that this was all kind of just his little plan all along was that the moment I had surgery, he like completely just stopped flirting, stopped caring about everything that he said before I had surgery. So for me, one, that proved that he was a total chaser. Also, that he was just using me for my body. He was using me for the state of my body was in before I had surgery. It was a very unfortunate situation that happened to me. Believe me, I learned my lesson after that happened. I have never fallen for something like that again. I wish I would have never done something like that, but it happened and I have to live with it, and I learned from it, and I hope that you guys can learn from it too. To any trans people watching, just know that you are worth it and that you don't need these people's validation for you to feel good and special. Like, you don't need for someone to sleep with you to make you feel wanted. And for those people that are cis men, women, whoever is watching, and you know you have or are or want to be in a relationship with a trans person, know that it should be about the person, not about their genitals. It shouldn't be about their trans status. It should be about the person, period. I have so many other stories I want to tell you guys about dating as a trans woman. It can be very complex and very difficult, and I will be bringing some friends that are also trans that can tell you guys about their personal stories and their personal struggles or successes as a trans person. So don't forget to follow me on all my social media. I am on Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will talk to you guys soon. Mwah. Ciao, ciao.